Hi there. My name is Misha and I'm here with my colleague and friend George Michaelopoulos, and this is Hegemonix. And
And
tonight
if
we're
I may
here.
say so, this is Forgiveness Sunday.
Yes,
So forgive me, brother, a sinner. And to all who watch this, God forgives and I forgive.
forgive me, brother, a sinner, and to all who watch this, and God forgives us all. Um, yes, it is beginning of Lent. So, just in time for Lent, and also during Ramadan, we got a war. couldn't happen at a better time. And we're not the only ones who've pointed this out. The boys over at the Duran also noticed that it was a terrible timing if you're going to do it with at a time that offends everybody in the whole region. Um,
Right.
but there's a huge buildup. I saw just a few minutes ago that the Gerald Ford is now in the Mediterranean and is heading for Israel. I assume what they're doing with the Ford is um, it's probably to head off to attempt to shoot down whatever the Iranians send after Israel, maybe.
Right. I can't imagine that the Ford has the reach from the Mediterranean to go into Iran.
Yeah, I'm not sure how close they want to get those carriers to Iran either. Um,
Yeah.
given they might be vulnerable to attack by they are vulnerable to attack by hypersonic missiles.
Yeah.
Um, this whole thing, first of all, I think it's a mistake. It's my personal opinion. I'll start off a little bit and then I'll
Yes.
see what your reaction to it is. Um, I think it's a mistake for the U.S. because um, I don't see how we win anything worth winning by going in there. Um, Israel's going to be hit, and it's going to be hit harder than it was the last time. The Iranians realize that they can't just telegraph what they're going to do and have us withdraw people from our, bases and attack them. That's not going to be a deterrent to us because here we are again. So they're going to hit us and probably draw blood this time. Um, I don't see how they accomplish decapitation unless the Israelis are going to do it first. If they still have, um, assets, but the Iranians arrested a whole bunch of people that were Israeli assets
Yes.
in Iran. I don't know how many they have left, and I'm sure a lot of these people are underground now. Most important people. Um, basically, to me, this whole thing, and you can tell me if you agree with this, and I'd be interested to get your assessment of the whole
Uh-huh.
thing. It seems like it boils down to the madness of one man. That's Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes, I agree with you there. I completely
Um,
agree with you.
what do you think about this whole crazy thing?
Uh, maybe I'm going to be optimistic here. I'm going to try to be optimistic because otherwise, I don't want to think about it. Um,
Yeah,
the I I think Trump is trying to force a negotiation. Let me put it this way: I would not be surprised. I'm not predicting this, but I would not be surprised if, at the end of the day, next week, let's say, uh, Trump announces peace, like he did with the 12-day war, and the president of Iran and him agree to meet somewhere and to discuss this thing before blood is drawn. I would not be surprised because already Trump has, brought Azerbaijan and Armenia to shake hands, Cambodia and Thailand to shake hands. um, 7 peace deals, 7 major peace deals.
Mhm.
He had Vladimir Putin land at Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage.
Mhm.
Uh, that was huge. Peace didn't break out, but a a framework broke out. That would be the best thing. And of course, he created this, you know, peace in Gaza. And I'm being very, you know,
Yeah, loose.
with the board of peace
Yeah.
there. So I think that's what he wants too with Iran. Um, I I don't know what else to say, Misha.
Yeah. That may be the best of all possible outcomes. I have this feeling though, one, that there's too much stuff in play to not end up, um, firing shots. You have all the there's you got everything that, um you got the 2 carrier groups, you got destroyers, you got, a huge missile capacity, um, bombers, B-2s are involved in this again like they were before, but you've got so much other stuff that it doesn't look like it's gonna be, just a in and out, one and done strike like it was on the Tons and
Yeah.
Fodor, whatever it is, like it was before. Um, and you're chasing I think Trump would prefer to do it just exactly like you were talking about. But I'm not sure what Netanyahu said the last time he was at the White House, just very recently,
Mhm.
because the rumor is that the Israelis have realized that um, the last strike didn't really do that much damage to the
Mhm.
underground facilities, and they're talking about doing nuclear strikes. I'm not sure. Well, I know that a direct nuclear hit from a 20 megaton missile would not take it out because what you're doing is you're sending a thermonuclear missile at a mountain
Mhm.
that's 1,000 meters deep, and then underneath that, several hundred meters, is the facility.
Mhm.
And these weapons only leave a crater that's less than 100 meters deep when
Mhm.
you explode them on flat land.
Mhm.
So it's not going to take it out.
Right.
Um, So there, it seems to me, a lot like Ahab and Moby Dick.
Mhm.
You just, the only way that they could really actually do this is if they had this whole buildup that they have right now, plus one thing that they are not doing. They do not
What's that?
have troops. They do not have troops that are going to, you put 300,000 troops in there, 200,000 troops, 300,000 troops. Okay, at least you're talking there's going to be a conflict that has some plausible, you know,
Mhm.
way
Right. Right.
of overrunning it all and then, going in and putting explosives down and all this, and still but they could take it and move it someplace else. But it seems like this is, Netanyahu's folly. He just keeps banging on the door and saying, "Bomb Iran, bomb Iran, bomb Iran." And
Yeah.
as long as I
The
follow
yeah.
politics from the late '80s or early '90s, he's always said they're just this close to getting a nuclear
Yeah.
weapon.
Yeah.
Witkoff was out there today saying they're just 7 days away from getting a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dumb do these people well, they must think that we're dumb as bricks.
Yeah.
They say all this crap.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
It
Um
is. It is. And the Um, how can I put this? Um, you're right. There are no troops on the ground. Trump learned the lesson of Iraq. You know, we're not going to be putting boots on the ground. Okay. And no matter how much Netanyahu and the Zionist lobby wants, we're just not going to do that. Two, we learned, was it 6 weeks ago with Venezuela, that we could decapitate somebody and not lose a single person. And we can talk about the morality of what Trump did. He also learned the other lesson of Iraq is that you spread enough money around among the vice president and everybody else, and
Mhm.
we don't have to send in anybody to pacify Venezuela. We
That's
haven't heard
true.
anything about Venezuela, have we?
Same thing in
Which is
Syria. Yeah.
yeah. So so I've 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 got to admire the audacity of the Venezuela strike, as well as the Machiavellian nature of it, that it has not redounded to the uh, detriment of the United States or the Trump administration. I'm hoping we'll have the same outcome in Iran. From what I understand, the people in Iran are rising up as well. So we may not have to decapitate militarily the Iranian regime. Well, that leaves aside the fact that whether we should or not. Um, the third thing, and this is not the positive thing, is that it doesn't look good that it seems like Trump is being led around by the nose by Netanyahu. As far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned, Netanyahu is a demon in a skin suit.
Yeah.
Uh, the quicker this man leaves this earthly plane of existence, the better it will be for everyone. The fourth thing is that the utter hubris of the Zionists and let's be honest, the Judeo supremacists, and of course, we're going to talk about that on another program,
Mhm.
but I must say it is increasing anti Semitism worldwide
Yes. That's
because, you know, you can't keep on throwing that term around all the time. It's get to the point where if you're against genocide, if that means you're if you're an anti-Zionist, and the Zionists say that because of that you're an anti-Semite, then people are going to say, "Fine, I'm an anti-Semite." Okay, if you know,
yeah.
even though you're not, no.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what I think. I mean, but getting back to the thing about Iran, I'm hoping this will end on a peaceful note.
Yeah. I mean, we can pray for
Hope
that. That would be nice. Um, Something that really hasn't made the news very much, but I'm still seeing more reports on this. I saw just something right before we went on the air. Um, Iran now has S-400s. They were taking taking their sweet time and holding off on the help from Russia and from China up until the 12-Day War, at which point they kind of changed their minds, and they've had Russians and Chinese swarming all over the place with transports and bringing S-300, S-400 anti-missile systems into the country and integrating them with Chinese radar. And also, this is what I saw right before we got on this program. The Chinese are using satellite data and forwarding it to the Iranians about the locations of the Lincoln and the Ford.
Mm.
Lincoln and the, yeah, Lincoln and the
Yeah, they got
Ford.
the Ford.
Yeah. Um, whatever satellite data they have to help them in the region. And basically, the Chinese and the Russians are doing everything for Iran that we were doing for Ukraine. Um,
Mhm,
in terms of, um, intelligence and, supplying them with, anti-missile, anti-aircraft,
mhm.
um, surveillance, anything, radar. Um, that's gonna change how an attack is received over there. The Israelis were bragging that they shut down Iran's, uh, air defense systems. They hadn't, and they didn't actually really even go into Iranian airspace,
Mhm.
the war. But now it's much more complicated and, we've got planes that are on the line over there too. I'm not sure exactly what they're, you may be right that they're gonna, uh, go right up to the line and not cross into this because as I recall, the last time they actually made a deal with the Iranians that they would go in because they had a corridor that those B-2s went through and nobody took a shot at them. If you remember that. Uh, they had a corridor where anybody could have taken shots at those B-2s as they were going into Iranian territory. Anybody on the ground that had, missile defense or, anti-aircraft defense systems, and nobody did. And then they had the tit for tat, that they said, "We're gonna hit this base in Qatar," or whatever, and
Mhm.
it was all evacuated and whatever. Um, it's very strange. It's very strange, but the story that's coming out of Iran is that whatever we did the last time, it didn't work because here we are again.
Yeah, exactly. Which you nailed it, and I agreed with you. I mean, the 12-day war was basically what Trump did is he took took the combatants, and he moved them to their cornerback, and and you know, Charlie Kirk begged him not to do that. I am I am convinced. I can't prove this. I am convinced that the only reason we did that was because Israel threatened to nuke Iran, and
Mm,
we were reluctantly went along with it and saved Iran from getting nuked.
yeah.
Um, I'm I can't prove it, okay, but it makes sense strategically. Um, saying that, Iran really gave Israel a bloody nose. We also now found out that this latest interview that Tucker had with Mike Huckabee, or as I call him, Mike Cuckabee, um, it was at Ben Gurion Airport. And in the aftermath of that interview, um, Tucker said he never saw a rattier airport in his life. It was like something you'd see out of Africa. I mean, paint was falling everywhere. Uh, windows were boarded up. It was an embarrassment.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I was shocked. So I don't know if that's because of any damage that the Iranians did the last time around, or if it's just because Israel's not a third world country, but
No,
Ben
but
Gurion, I mean, I've got to say, I'm just putting that out there.
uh-huh. No, but getting bombed is a good way to get that third world look.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Tucker,
It,
that's an interesting little tryst that, Tucker took over there. Um, he interviews, Mike Huckabee, the, American ambassador to Israel. How that happened, you know, I that's that's just odd, him being the ambassador to Israel. Um, but he interviewed him, and tripped him up a little bit, and the thing that went through my mind, I just saw bits of it, like you did. It was blind leading the blind because I don't
Mhm,
think either of them were particularly theologically literate
mhm.
types. And Huckabee's a minister, so
Yeah, you're right, exactly. He's a pastor, exactly.
they they came across the Tucker suckered him into talking about Greater Israel.
Mhm,
And Huckabee said, yeah, he wouldn't have any problem if Israel took it all.
mhm.
There's a long line of Arab countries, Muslim countries, not just Arab countries, who have lined up in protest demanding something be done about
Yeah,
Huckabee now.
yeah,
That that
I
can't
agree.
that can't be the policy of the United States, that Greater Israel, which is like taking half of Saudi Arabia, all of Lebanon.
Mhm. Iraq,
Just
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Egypt to from
It
the Nile to the
yeah,
Euphrates.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That the American ambassador says that that's just hunky dory. No,
yeah,
no. He did a lot of damage just with
yeah.
that offhand comment. And
He did.
he
Now,
at 29, at least the last count, 29 follow-up ex posts trying to clean up, you know, image from the interview. He's never gonna sit down with Tucker again, I'll guarantee you that.
right, he walked into a trap. Of course, my own personal, um, belief about Huckabee, who I respected as a politician and, fellow conservative and all that, but I mean, he clearly loves Israel more than the United States, and he's not representing our interests at all, so he shouldn't be ambassador. But even more than that, when he interviewed Jonathan Pollard, who is a traitor. I mean, we fried the Rosenbergs in the electric chair 70 years ago, okay? Because they sent some secrets to the Soviets, some atomic
Yeah,
secrets.
nuclear secrets, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and which at the time we didn't know it, but the Soviets already had a bomb, so it was nothing ventured, nothing gained. But regardless, that's espionage and that's punishable by death, and it's treason. Even though legally we weren't at war, so legally treason did not exist, but still, morally it was treason. Um, in my own naivete as a younger man 35 years ago, when it was found out that Pollard did that, I thought, well, at least he sold them to or he gave them to the Israelis, their allies. I didn't know that the Israelis turned around and sold them to the Soviets, for their own reasons, for money and also to get a whole lot of Soviet Jews outside of Russia and migrate to the United States. I didn't know that. So, you know, clearly Pollard was not doing it to benefit the United States or even Israel for that matter. It benefited the Soviet Union. Regardless, um, Pollard should have fried in the electric chair. And I think it's a black mark on, Obama that he released him from prison, and it's a black mark on Trump that he allowed him to go to Israel.
Yeah, uh, this that if there's one thing that, I dislike about this administration, it's they're too Israel friendly, too, uh, close to Israel. I understand in a way, and don't take offense at this, but I'm gonna say the B word. There's a boomer tendency to, protect Israel at all costs because of the Holocaust and because they're the downtrodden victim, and we gotta be loyal to them, and we can't, you know, be seen as turning against them because that's the ultimate sin, and blah blah blah. Woof woof woof.
Oh, yeah, and God will
We
punish
don't.
us.
We turn a blind eye to all the perfidious and malicious stuff that they do,
Mhm.
and we say that can't possibly be true, that they were demanding the right to rape Palestinian prisoners.
Right.
Um, Nobody could possibly believe that. That's, what you would hear in circles like that. Uh, that,
Yeah.
uh, that attitude's not gonna last forever, and it's
No.
being overcome
No.
now. Even the young people don't have that
No,
attitude, and
not at all.
a lot of Gen X and, don't seen and taking a hard look at it. And some boomers don't have that attitude.
No, in and being a boomer, if I can come to the defense of my generation, A, we're dying off, we're aging out, and B, the even some of us are starting to reassess things. I mean, we saw a Holocaust with our own eyes, okay? You can't unsee that. And whatever antipathy many of us, especially, um, who are of European descent, may have towards the Arabs who are also Semites, um, it's it's frittering away. I overall, I think the boomers still are majority pro-Israel at all costs, but barely, just barely. And this is the apex of Zionism, of Zionism and neoconservatism. We're at the apex. It's just going downhill from here.
Yeah, I hope so. It's it's been a long, strange trip. I mean,
It
that
has.
interview with Huckabee when Tucker said that Israel got us into the Iraq War, and Huckabee's no, that's not true. You know, Netanyahu was testifying before Congress about, well, that would be a good idea, attack Iraq. you know,
Yeah. And 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 democracy would break out all over the Arab world. He said that.
yeah. I mean, even neocons might believe that. I doubt a lot of them that actually know anything believe that, but some of them might, the more idealistic ones. But I'm
Well, let's
sure that Netanyahu didn't believe that for a second,
yeah.
saying it.
Well, let's not forget what American neocons, not all of whom are Jewish, uh, believe. I mean, they started out. Uh, Trotsky was their godfather,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Trotsky believed in permanent revolution.
yeah,
Okay, and the neocons switched from leftism to rightism, for want of a better word, because they saw that leftism doesn't work economically. And so they said, well, let's hijack conservatism and, you know, and, and we'll hoodwink the right. And they succeeded for the most part.
yeah. That explains how people like Bill Kristol did a 180 so quickly,
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
Trump. He never really had
No,
any
it was Israel.
conservative.
It's
Yeah,
always Israel. And, if they have to finance a crusade and secretly and convert overtly to Christianity or some form of it, if that's what it takes to save Israel, then they'll do it. Pure pure hypocrisy is going on here. Um, so I mean, but that's a argument for another day or discussion for another day, I guess.
yeah. Um, so the Russians and the Chinese are doing exercises, or have been doing exercises with the Iranians in the
Hmm.
Strait of Hormuz,
Yeah.
and so this little dance has been put off for a while. Anyway, um, I hope you're right.
I hope
I
so.
hope that, and this would be when you look at the art of the deal, the way that Trump tends to he's always talking about it, making a deal with somebody because
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
that's what he does. That's
Uh-huh.
his thing, you know. Um, and his operational strategy is always to go in strong, over the top, and make this grand play for everything, the kitchen sink, 150% of
Mhm.
what anybody could possibly get out of it, and then kind of step back and try to put pressure on the other side from whatever, from whatever directions he could manage it,
Mhm.
and see what kind of deal can be worked out. Um, and that's if that's what he's doing right now, then amen. He's expending a whole lot of fuel
Mhm.
to get it done, but it is important. I mean,
Mhm.
I understand that. Um, the he's got just about everybody fooled. I mean, all the military experts will say, no, they're going in. There's no way that you put all this stuff out there and not go
Mhm.
in. Um, but uh, if he doesn't do it and he does get a deal, then the people are saying, well, he would lose face. I don't know if he would lose face. If he goes to a table and gets a deal, and even if it's like the JCPOA that he walked away from,
Yeah.
even if it's another one, he can still hype that up and say, this is, we have a deal to end all war in the Middle East and blah, 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 blah. Now, the problem with it is the hole I see in the whole thing is Benjamin Netanyahu.
I agree. He's the wild card, and I would not be surprised if he does a false flag, and torpedoes the Gerald Ford, or something like that, or has a false flag in the United States somewhere in which Iranian terrorists, so called, blow up a supermarket or something like. It'd have to be something big. It'd have to be something bigger than that. Um, yeah, Netanyahu exists for himself, and he views himself as the avatar of Judaica, the Jewish people. A couple of weeks ago, he said, "Well, 2,000 years ago, it didn't work out so good for us with the Romans, and we're going to make sure that Rome doesn't win again." Something along those lines, he said.
Remember that.
Yeah, you remember that, don't you? And, this is, ultimate hubris. And, I was gonna save this for another, episode, specifically on Christian Zionism, but I'll go ahead and say it now.
Hmm.
The,
We got time. Yeah.
the first Jewish war, 66 to 74 AD, um, the Jews almost won that one, believe it or not. They won some significant battles first off, but and Jews all over the diaspora rose up in a messianic frenzy and slaughtered a lot of Gentiles in their neighborhood, and so the Gentiles rose up and slaughtered a lot of Jews in the diaspora. But,
Hmm.
the Romans were very, very patient, and they surrounded Jerusalem and, starved them out and, destroyed it for the most part, and then the last holdouts were at Masada.
Right.
That truly was a holocaust. They say maybe half the Jewish population of the world was wiped out because of the First Jewish War. My point is this: they could have worked out some kind of peace treaty or something along the lines, um, to 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 prevent it, but they were full of themselves in this messianic frenzy and hubris. The
Mhm.
Greek word hubris.
Yeah.
Um, I'm seeing this again.
Yeah.
They think they've got Uncle Sam by the nose. That's not a good place to be. If they succeed, on the other hand, then we're then we're in the end times because the whole purpose of this is to build that third temple.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, so I'll
That's
leave it at
their
that. Um, I will say one other thing. Recently, Trump was speaking to reporters about 9/11, and he was trolling Howard Lutnick, who's his commerce secretary. And Lutnick is going through the motions right now, or he's going through some a gauntlet of criticism because he met with Epstein on
mhm.
his island with his wife and children and yada yada yada. But Trump said, Howard's a lucky guy. He was supposed to be at the World Trade Center on 9/11, but his wife told him, "No, you have to go get that mole taken care of on your face." Now you
Yeah.
know, and I know what's going on here because
Yeah.
Lutnick wasn't the only big player who just happened to be absent that day. Larry Silverstein, the owner of the World Trade Center, just happened to be um, not at work that day. So basically, what this is telling me is Trump knows the deal.
Yeah, it could be. There's a term that people on the internet use called noticing,
Noticing, yeah.
that, that it's hard when you've got so much information boiled down to a few streams, the whatever you're talking about, like X or Facebook or any other, these social media things. And it's condensed and it's just always there, always running. People can see it all the time.
Mhm.
Um, everybody knows about the Liberty now.
Yeah,
Everybody knows about it. And it does wake people up to the whole. I want to be very careful about my words here.
yeah,
The extent of influence,
yes,
and put it that way.
yeah.
And this is, I mean, I don't know that we would have any business at all in Iran were it not for Israel
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
Netanyahu's leadership. And I don't still see. Usually, if you go into, well, this hasn't been true for the West though. Sane people, when they go to war, they have a plan for the day after, what's going to happen, what it's going to look like down the
Mhm,
road, and how things are going to be handled
uh-huh,
once there's an occupation, and then the occupation has certain goals, and
mhm,
then you want to withdraw at some point, but you have to create certain structures or whatever.
mhm.
Um, Nobody's thought through that with Iran, or at least I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah,
And I don't know that they're even that ambitious. They just want to drop some bombs.
yeah. I mean, you saw what the Israelis did in Syria. They've carved it up. They've allowed it to be carved up. The Turks took their part. No, they would love to see. I don't know how many countries there are in the Middle East right now. Let's say there are 6 major countries besides Israel. If they could break them up into another 12 countries, that's fine too. It's divide and conquer. It's not a bad strategy, but it does uh, cause a boil over of hatred to the people who are perpetrating it, and the people who are perpetrating it are the Israelis. The Israelis do have an exit strategy. I don't know if you've been watching, but in Patagonia, Argentina, there's been a whole lot of
Yeah.
fires going on, and Malay uh, passed a law that says that people can buy the land at a discount rate, and a lot of Israelis are buying up land because they're looking at the the long-term survival of Israel doesn't look all that great for them,
Yeah.
and
Well,
they
they
could
yeah.
recreate something in Patagonia.
Yeah, they should have, probably followed Herzl's first instinct and gone to Uganda.
Yeah, yeah,
But, see, what's eventually what I think what my feline senses tell me is eventually gonna happen is that the Israelis are gonna go too far, and they're gonna cross both the Russians and the Chinese.
yeah,
And they're very close to doing it right now because the Chinese have the Belt and Road thing, and they wanna drive right through this area.
right.
And the Russians have, big stake in all that as well, as
Uh-huh,
far as the the trade is concerned and
mhm,
stability in the region.
mhm,
Um, and at some point, and in an alliance with Iran, and they both made it known that Iran's not going to fall. They're not going to let Iran
right,
fall. Um, so I don't think whatever happens militarily, it's going to succeed at bringing down the Iranian government. Now, all bets are off as far as who the Israelis could kill
mhm,
because they have long arms, and they can reach out and touch you. It's but as far as actually bringing down the structure, I mean, everybody's got a replacement. That's the thing with and
mhm.
they know they're. Um, but at some point, the Israelis are going to get too. The hubris is going to rise to the level where they're going to generate a nemesis that they simply cannot
Agreed,
deal with, and
and
it's gonna come down hard on them.
well, again, I mean, the first Jewish war, and then 60 years
Yeah,
later, the second Jewish war. Okay, in the in the second Jewish war, the Romans actually tore down the walls of Jerusalem and said, "No, it's not going to happen again." And but before they did that, they went house to house and literally just you know made sure that there were no native Judeans living in Jerusalem. And you see this pattern happen, time and time again. Um, the Since the dawn of Christendom, let's say from the time of Constantine the Great, I mean, Jewish communities flourished all over Europe, but then they didn't flourish. They were taken out or driven out on at least 109 occasions. Okay, so
yeah,
make of that what you will. I mean, it doesn't happen uh, because people were happy, and it didn't happen because the Gospel of John. They all of a sudden started reading the Gospel of John and saying, "Oh my God, these people are evil," or anything like that, or they killed Jesus. No, it didn't happen because of that. There were economic considerations and stuff like that, and it goes back to hubris. And I'm just I just got to tell you, I'm really worried that there's going to be an outbreak of anti-Semitism, not only all over the world, but even in the United States. I mean, the
yeah,
Democrat Party right now is not, the party of an Israel über alles, and so say, you know, it's a coalition of many different minorities, none of whom are particularly very sympathetic to Jewish people as a rule.
yeah. They're much more sympathetic to the Palestinians and third
Yeah,
world people than they are. They think of them as
yeah,
European Jews, European colonials. That's the major thing. But there are a lot of Jews in the Democratic Party as well, so there's a tension between them, and it goes back and forth.
right.
Um, If you like what you've seen here and you want to keep appraised of everything, please hit like and subscribe. And we appreciate your time with us. And we'll see you next time at Hegemonix.